Let me tell you something, friend. I'm 80 years old. Yep, 8 decades, 960 months, 29,200 days. I've been around long enough to have seen the Beatles rise, disco die, and smartphones turn people into screen-staring zombies. And let me be honest with you right from the start. These years, your 70s and 80s, they can either be the golden icing on your life's cake or feel like stale breadcrumbs if you don't do 'em right. Now, before you roll your eyes and say, "Come on, Paul, what kind of joy can I possibly squeeze out at this age?" Hear me out. I've laughed more in my 70s than I did in my 30s, found more purpose in my 80s than in my so-called prime. I've made peace with my past, chased new dreams, and found reasons to get out of bed other than needing the bathroom. So today, I want to tell you a story, not a fairy tale, not some sugar-coated inspirational mumbo-jumbo, but my real-life, no-filter, funny, sometimes embarrassing, often emotional story of how I found joy and purpose in the last chapters of life and how you can too. Because, friend, if you're lucky enough to live this long, you deserve to live it with your heart full, your soul laughing, and your days brimming with meaning. Let's rewind a bit. When I turned 70, I'll be honest, I was in a funk. Retirement sounded good on paper, until the paper started to pile up, and I had nothing to do with my time but read obituaries and wonder why I wasn't in 'em yet. My wife had passed 5 years earlier. My kids were busy with their lives. My knees creaked more than the old floorboards. And every morning I'd sit at the kitchen table, sipping lukewarm coffee, staring out the window like I was waiting for purpose to ring the doorbell. It didn't. You know what did ring, though? My phone. It was my grandson, 12 years old. He called and said, "Grandpa, I've got a school project. I need to interview someone really old." Now, I should have been insulted. Instead, I laughed so hard I snorted coffee out my nose. That call, that one moment of unexpected laughter, sparked something in me. A thought, a tiny whisper. "You're not done yet." And boy, that whisper turned into a roar. I made a decision that day. I wasn't going to just exist through my 70s. I was going to live 'em, loudly, purposefully, even a little foolishly. Because life after 70 ain't about slowing down. It's about waking up. So, how do you find joy and purpose at this age? Let me break it down the way I lived it. And friend, if any of this hits home, pause and ask yourself, could I do this too? Here's what I did and why it changed everything. First, I got off my butt and got curious again. I joined a community center. Now don't laugh. I thought it would be all knitting and bingo. And yes, there was some knitting, but there was also a photography class run by a Doris, 68 years old, who looked like she walked out of a fashion magazine and swore like a sailor. She became one of my best friends. I hadn't held a camera in decades, but I found something magical in capturing tiny moments. A couple holding hands, kids chasing bubbles, sunsets melting into the sky. Photography made me see life again, not just look at it. That curiosity spilled into other things. I took a writing workshop. Me, a guy who hadn't written anything since high school essays about cows. Turns out I had stories people wanted to read. I even published a little memoir. Got 3 Amazon reviews, one from my niece, one from a stranger, and one angry guy who said my book made him cry on the bus. Still counts. And friend, you know what all that curiosity gave me? Not just new hobbies. It gave me joy. Deep, rich, sometimes teary, sometimes belly laughing joy. Now, here's the next big thing I did. I stopped living for people and started living with them. When you get older, people treat you like you're fragile, like you're a glass figurine that might shatter if you leave the house. But I refused to be bubble-wrapped. I reached out, reconnected with old friends, made new ones. I started inviting neighbors over for tea and pie. Well, store-bought pie, because my baking's a health hazard. We shared stories, laughed about embarrassing moments, grieved together when someone passed, celebrated small wins. One of my buddies, Joe, 76, took up salsa dancing, lost 30 pounds and met a retired school teacher who twirls him around like a rag doll. The man's glowing. You want to find joy and purpose in your later years? Start by surrounding yourself with people who spark you, not drain you. And here's a funny one. I made a TikTok. Yep, you heard that right. My granddaughter dared me. I did a video where I tried to do a trendy dance, failed miserably, fell on my bind, went viral, got 1 million views. Suddenly, people were messaging me saying, "You remind me of my grandpa. I miss him." Others said, "Thanks for showing me aging can be joyful." Imagine that. Me, 80, bringing light to strangers through a phone screen. That's purpose, friend. Unexpected, hilarious, beautiful purpose. And let me say this real clear. If you're waiting for some grand cosmic sign to tell you your life still matters, stop waiting. You are the sign. You being here, breathing, listening to this, you're proof that there's more ahead for you. You just gotta say yes to it. And speaking of saying yes, somewhere around this time, right after a group yoga class where I accidentally ripped one mid-downward dog, true story, nearly cleared the room, I started thinking about legacy. Not the money kind, but the what am I leaving behind kind. So I started volunteering at a school, reading to kids. These tiny humans with sticky hands and wild imaginations would sit on my lap and hang on to every word. One of them asked me if dinosaurs were my classmates. I told him, no, but I did go to school before Google existed. Their laughter, medicine for my soul. I also gave talks at senior centers, shared my stories like I'm doing with you now, told folks they weren't too old to dream again, laugh again, love again, because you're not. I want to pause here, friend. If you've smiled even once, nodded in agreement, or thought, man, maybe Paul's on to something, do me a favor. Tap that like button. Leave a comment. Share this video with someone who needs a reminder that life after 70 ain't over. It's just getting good. And don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss the rest of this ride. We've got more laughs and lessons coming. Now, back to the good stuff. One day, I sat down and made a list. Not a bucket list. I hate that term. Makes it sound like you're racing the clock. No, I called it my joy list. On it were things that made me feel alive. Things like watching thunderstorms from the porch, eating pancakes for dinner, dancing in the living room with no music, telling my daughter I'm proud of her, calling an old friend just to say, remember that time we almost set the shed on fire? That list, it grounded me, gave my days meaning. Because here's the truth, friend. Purpose isn't some giant mission. It's the little moments that make your heart sigh and your soul smile. You want to find your purpose at 70, 75, 80? Start with joy. Follow the sparks. Follow the laughter. Follow the curiosity. Follow the things that make you feel like you're not just surviving, you're thriving. And if your knees ache, Your hair's gone white and the world's moving faster than your Wi-Fi? So what? You've still got time. You've still got stories. You've still got value. Heck, I know seniors who found love at 82, started businesses at 78, learned how to swim at 74. One lady I met in Arizona started learning Japanese in her late 70s because she wanted to watch anime without subtitles. That's the spirit. That's purpose. That's joy. And friend, if you're willing to stick around, I've got more to tell you. Because the ride ain't over. Not even close.
All right, where were we? Ah, yes. Joy, purpose, and pancakes for dinner. Now, I got to tell you, friend, just because I've found purpose doesn't mean everything turned into sunshine and roses. Nah, life after 70 still throws curveballs, and sometimes it throws them hard. I remember waking up one morning, must have been around 75, and realizing something had changed. Not in my body. I mean, yeah, everything aches more, and I make sound effects every time I stand up. But this was something else, something heavier. I felt invisible, like the world had moved on without me. People started calling me sir at the grocery store. Strangers offered to carry my bags. Folks talked to me slower, like I was one good nap away from the grave. And maybe you felt that too, like you've become background noise in a world that used to hear your voice loud and clear. That hit me hard. But then I did something that changed everything. I spoke up. I started telling people how I really felt. Not in a whiny, woe is me kind of way, but with honesty, with humor. I told my daughter, I feel like wallpaper, kiddo, decorative, old, and easy to ignore. She cried. Not because I said something sad, but because she hadn't realized I felt that way. That opened a door. Suddenly we were talking more, laughing more. She started calling me just to hear my thoughts on stuff. And let me tell you, you've never truly felt joy until your adult child says, Dad, your advice helped me today. If you're feeling invisible, talk. Your voice still matters. Your wisdom matters. Your stories matter. That's part of finding purpose, too. Being seen. Now, I also learned something funny about joy. It likes to hide in the ordinary. Let me explain. One Tuesday, because of course it had to be a Tuesday, I went out to get the mail. Just as I bent down to pick up a letter, my back gave out. I landed flat on the driveway like a beached whale in flip-flops. Now, most people would be embarrassed. Me? I started laughing. There I was, an 80-year-old man lying on hot concrete, clutching a coupon for frozen peas, and I couldn't stop giggling. Why? Because I realized I was still here, still able to laugh, still capable of finding the absurd in the everyday. Joy is sneaky like that. It hides in burnt toast, in squirrel watching, in mismatched socks. You just got to let yourself see it. And friend, I want to share something more personal with you now, something that shook me. At age 78, I lost my best friend, Charlie. We'd known each other since we were 12. Got in trouble for stealing apples, served in the army together, danced at each other's weddings. He was the one person who truly knew all of me. When he passed, a piece of me went with him. For weeks, I didn't smile, didn't go to the community center, didn't touch my camera, just sat on the porch staring at an empty chair. Then one day, I remembered something Charlie had said a few years before. He said, Paul, when I go, don't mourn me too long. Find someone who needs what I gave you. Friendship, laughter, late-night stories, and someone to remind them they matter. That stayed with me. So, I did something scary. I walked into the local retirement home, not to move in, but to volunteer. And there I met Helen. Sharp tongue, brighter mind, 84 years old and sassier than a teenager. We started playing cards, talking about life. One day, I brought her a sunflower in a mason jar, and she said, "If you're flirting, it's working." We never dated, but we became something just as beautiful. Companions, partners in crime, two old souls who still had chapters to write. She reminded me that love, not just romantic love, but human love, never has an expiration date. You want to find purpose? Start giving love away again. Call someone, visit someone, smile at someone, hug the heck out of someone. And if you're alone, and I know many of you are, then give love to yourself. Forgive yourself for past mistakes. Forgive your body for aging. Forgive your mind for forgetting where you put the TV remote for the 5th time this week. Speak kindly to yourself, because how you talk to yourself in your 70s and 80s shapes your whole experience. Now here's a secret that took me 80 years to learn. You don't need a reason to be joyful. You just need to allow it. Let me repeat that because it's big. You don't need a reason to be joyful. You just need to allow it. You can wake up on a random Thursday and decide, I'm going to wear the fancy socks today. Or, I'm going to eat ice cream before lunch because who the heck's going to stop me? You've earned the right to rewrite the rules of your day. Purpose isn't a job title. It's not some holy mission. Sometimes, purpose is just being the one person in someone's day who made them feel seen, heard, or smiled at. And here's something beautiful. Your purpose can change. Mine did. From a husband to a widower. From a father to a mentor. From a worker to a storyteller. And now, I like to think my purpose is this: to remind others, maybe you, that life isn't over unless you stop living it. So, friend, if you're listening and wondering, but Paul, how do I find it? Where do I start? Start here. What makes you smile, even a little? What did you love doing as a child? Who could use a phone call today? What have you always wanted to try but thought, it's too late now? Spoiler alert, it's not too late. You're not too old. You're not too broken. You're not too anything. You're still here, and that means you've still got work to do. Even if it's just spreading laughter, baking cookies, or reminding someone they're loved. And if no one's told you today, let me be the first. I'm proud of you. You've made it through so much: loss, change, heartbreak, loneliness, maybe even illness or fear. But you're still showing up, still curious, still joyful, and still listening. And that, my dear friend, is purpose. So today, find your joy. Chase it like a kid chasing fireflies. And remember, life in your 70s and 80s can be extraordinary. It just takes a spark, a decision, a moment of laughter, a pinch of boldness. So go ahead, start a hobby, tell a story, say I love you, dance in your kitchen, wear the shirt with flamingos on it, try sushi for the first time, kiss someone, hug everyone, take a silly selfie, live like the party isn't over, because it's not. In fact, it might just be getting started. And if you need a friend along the way, well, you've got one in this old man right here. Stay curious. Stay joyful. Stay you. Now, do me one more favor. If this touched your heart, even just a little, share it. Let someone else know they're not alone in this season of life. And keep coming back, because I've got more stories to tell, and I'm saving the best ones just for you.